Welcome, my name is Casey Bauer, and this is the fourth episode of the film photography series. Now today what I'm going to be doing is going out for a motorcycle ride to go capture some images. And the purpose of this is to just show you guys the basics about film photography, kind of what shooting out in the field looks like, and give you an idea of what my workflow looks like, and hopefully that'll be beneficial to you. So for this shoot I'm going to be using two different cameras. And so I have the Olympus Stylus point and shoot, and just a little bit about this camera, some things to keep in mind. This is a point and shoot camera, so you cannot adjust your aperture or shutter speed. The only thing that you can do is you can make this center weighted metering and focus, and so that's what I like to do. So you do that by pushing these two back buttons here at the same time, and basically what that does is as you line up your image, it will focus on what is right in the center of the screen, and so you can at least be sure of where your focus is. You can focus on something and then you can recompose and be sure that you got the right subject in focus. The other camera I'm going to be using obviously is the Hasselblad here, and so this camera is fully manual, so pretty much the complete opposite of the point and shoot. Now this shoots 120 film, the other shoots 35mm, and with this you have to set everything here on the lens. Okay, so your ISO obviously is built into your film, but you have here your f-stop and then your shutter speed, and so you set everything here, and then while looking through the viewfinder you focus using this ring here. Once you have it pretty close to in focus, you push this and that flips up a little magnifying lens, and you can do fine focus from there. Now when it comes down to deciding which camera I'm going to use for a specific image, I have to think about a couple things. First off, what kind of image is it? Is it something that I'm going to need the manual control of this camera, or is it something that it really doesn't matter and this will be sufficient? Another thing to keep in mind is my subject moving? Is it something that is here right now and is going to be gone in a second? If that's the case, then this is the camera I'm going to be using, because I can just open it up and it's ready to use. This camera, you don't have to use it on a tripod, but you do need to set everything by hand, and it normally does end up going on a tripod. These two cameras are distinct tools for different purposes. So this is very good for fleeting moments, something that is here right now and you gotta capture and you don't have time to set things up. But if you do have something that needs a little more attention, you want the depth of field, or you just want a higher image quality, because this bigger negative is going to give you a better image quality, and this is the camera you're going to use. But it comes with a trade-off that it is slow and it's not something you can use quickly. Now as I go out today, you will likely see me use both cameras, and it'll really just depend on the situation. If I gotta walk somewhere and leave my bike, then I might consider just taking this with me. But if I can get my bike into wherever I'm planning on shooting, then chances are this is what I'm going to use, because of the higher quality, higher resolution, and the more in-depth control that this camera offers. So as far as what I take with me out in the field, in this side I actually have a little camera insert, and it's actually straight out of my backpack, and so I like to use this. And so I got my Hasselblad in there, and got my point and shoot in here. I can put it on my belt, but basically I have the camera, I have the point and shoot, lens hood, a second film back, and then I have a recorder just for taking notes and things, and yeah, and that's it. So that goes in here. A little tight squeeze at first, but the saddlebag expands actually, so it works out pretty nice. So here I am at a place called Rio Toko. It's a place that we always drive by and never stop to look here and take pictures, but I figured I'd at least try with a couple here. I've got a roll of Kentmere 100 in this camera right now, so this is black and white film. And so I gotta look at my shadows more than anything else, because it's really bright sun here up overhead. Not great light, but I'm gonna give this a shot. Take a couple photos here and see if something comes out. Now I chose to work with my Olympus because I just really don't feel like pulling out the Hasselblad. It's a lot of work and there's some people around here, and so if something were to happen, somebody were to go towards my bike, I want to be able to move quickly. Okay, so I got some images there, 5, and we'll look and see if we got something worth keeping from that. So I'm going to be at 5.6 1/60th. I'm going to probably do f8 at 1/30th. and give that a shot. Okay, so I got my first shot. Try another one. So I just took some photos here with my beloved Triumph, and real nice view here. It's a hot sunny day, nice little ride. Now normally this kind of light is not at all recommended for photos, but you know, I've shot in really good light enough. I feel like it'd be really good to just practice with some bad light, because if you're going to be a photographer, well, you got to work with what you got, and you can't always go out during the golden hour or early in the morning. And so if you can find ways to be creative and just work with the light you got, then that's a really good thing. Welcome to Las Mesas again. I actually shot my first video in this forest with my Hasselblad, but it's a really big area and there's some real nasty trails. So I thought I'd jump on my 250 today and just head out with a real simple idea. Just take this little camera and my dirt bike and just get out here and try to find something interesting. So as I was driving by, I drove by this tree that just really stood out to me. You can see it here. And just, one thing about this forest is there's a lot of curved trees that are very, very interesting. And so I thought, you know, that's kind of a unique feature. Let's stop, let's take a look and see if we can capture something unique with it. So what I tried to just do with that image is actually use the tree and the tree behind it to kind of make some form. So if you look at it, it actually kind of makes a letter K. So I just thought that's something interesting. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for some different angles, some different perspectives. With a camera like this, you don't have a lot that you can do. So what you can do is really focus on your composition, get low, go high. Can't really go high here, but can definitely go low, and just look for some different angles to just really bring out the beauty of this place. So I got a couple different angles of that tree, and hopefully one of them will come out pretty nice. And I think these will make real nice darkroom prints because there's pretty good contrast in this light, and I just think it should turn out pretty nice. It's another beautiful morning, and I wound up where I did not think I would be. I'm in a place called Oloas, which is pretty far south from my town. I went out into the woods just to look for some fog, but we had a northern front come through last night, so it's kind of cold this morning. It's like low 50s, which is pretty cold for Honduras in the middle of July. But here I am, and just looking out and seeing what I can capture with these mountains. Now while this is a beautiful background here and just a lovely sight, unfortunately it's not going to make for a great photo, and that's because my Hasselblad lens is an 80mm, and so that comes out to somewhere, I could be wrong about this, somewhere around 45 on a 35mm frame. And so it's pretty wide, and what it basically does is it really shrinks these mountains, makes them look smaller. Really what I need for something like this is a longer lens to be able to compress them. I don't have that with me, and so this really isn't going to work for what I'm working with. And the reason I'm not just going to take a photo just to take it is that film costs money. And so one thing about film photography is you have to be very careful about selecting the images that you're going to make. I know that if I make this image, it's probably not going to turn out great, and so I figure, why bother? Don't waste an image, just hold on to it and wait until you find something worth capturing. Now, I'm normally not a big sunrise or sunset kind of guy, but riding back after failing to capture an image, found the sun here, and well, that's not hard to do, but found this beautiful sunrise, and so figured it's worth at least stopping to check it out and see if there's a composition somewhere here. So I was thinking something with the sun, and then there's really dark clouds over there. But the problem I'm getting is that with 100 speed film, it's not going to be a very fast exposure, and these trees here are they're moving too much, and so I'm still not seeing anything. Boy, it sure is windy. I gotta think there's an image in here somewhere. I just don't know where. Some really unique trees here. I just pulled off a little side road, and looks like it's a place where everybody just dumps their trash, unfortunately. But the road kind of ends here, and there's some nice big trees down below. Don't want to stray too far from my bike, but gotta find something here. Unfortunately, I don't see something working out down here. at least not with my point and shoot camera. The Hasselblad maybe, but the problem is I'd have to get my bike down here, and this is a pretty rough road. And I don't want to risk getting a 500-pound bike stuck on these roads. So probably what I'll have to do is come back in a different day on my 250 and get all the way down in there, and yeah, I think that should work. There's not really a trail here, but found my way down. So much of film photography, and well, photography in general, is just trying to find your composition. So I got this tree that I'm looking at here, and I see there's 3 different mountain ranges behind it, and the sun is backlighting it, and so I can silhouette that tree. Problem is I got a bunch of smaller trees in the way, so I'm trying to find a perfect angle where I can isolate that tree. So my angles from far away are not working, so maybe getting closer I can get something. I was looking for my final angle on this tree and just not really seeing it, and so when that happens, what I tend to do is look down and just kind of focus on what's around me, maybe go for a smaller scale. And I came to realize this, I'm standing in the middle of a chopped down forest, and there are some trees that are very nice looking, but this used to be very dense forest. Further down the mountain there's a ton of really big trees, and it's just a shame. And so thinking, let's look at the good and the bad, not just show the beauty in nature, but also show man's effect on nature. And so just came across something real simple, real small, just this little stump here. And so I think this is going to be my final composition for this roll. Alright, well, that finishes up that roll. I think I'm going to take the same picture with my point and shoot. Just I really like this image, and I'd like to be able to print this in the darkroom. So yeah, let's do that. Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's get back on the road, head back home, get some coffee, some breakfast, see my wife, and maybe we'll develop this roll film today. Alright, so it's been a little while since I actually shot the rolls that you guys just saw me shoot. Actually, my wife and I had to travel back to the States for reasons that has to do with the pandemic, and so I haven't gotten to work too much on these kind of things. But looking back at the photos, when I was actually doing the process of developing, I had a big problem just trying to get my film onto the spool, specifically for my roll 120. And so that was really frustrating. I actually lost most of the images on that, including the final image with the stump. And so that's really, really frustrating. But that happens sometimes. That's just part of the game when you shoot film. And so, I was definitely bummed out about it. But at the same time, it's like, I could have chosen to just edit those out and not show you guys anything. But I decided to, say, hey, this is the reality of shooting film, and it's not as easy or as convenient as digital is. So I just want to be real with you guys so you understand that, so that if you decide to take that on, then that's clear to you that things do happen. I've probably shot a couple hundred rolls of film, and I've never had something like that happen before, but it can happen. So unfortunately, I lost some images that I really liked, but what I did try to do is put some in, at least with 35mm, that would show basically what some of the results looked like. Another thing is that I don't really have a good way to scan film at this point. My high quality work, what I normally do is I print it in the darkroom, and that's kind of how I focus on presenting my work. When it comes to scanning, I've been using basically flatbed scanners, which are not ideal. It's not a film scanner. And so you guys can see that the images are a little dirty. Honestly, the images themselves, the negatives, are higher quality than what you're going to see on this video. So I want to be clear about that. But also, I plan on getting a dedicated film scanner to be able to straighten that out. So that's just a little bit about what the process looks like of shooting film. I have some new cameras that I'm going to be working on now that I'm here in the States. So a rangefinder camera, and also a really big Mamiya universal press camera. And so some exciting stuff coming up that I'll be working on. I can't wait to share with you guys. But yeah, so that's just the basics of shooting film, kind of what it looks like. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave me any comments, questions that you may have, and I'd love to help you guys out there as much as I can. So thank you for joining me for this video. If you did enjoy this, even though it's a little, maybe not the best quality of this video here, but hopefully the ideas get through, which is really what's important. So if you did enjoy this, I would encourage you to like it and subscribe to this channel, and I will definitely be putting out more material for you guys to continue learning and just enjoying this process with me. Thank you, and I'll see you later.